Hey guys, it's Coco Alaina. I'm the creator and head designer for CoCoVida Swimwear Resort Wear. I'm 21 years old. I launched CoCoVida when I was actually 19. I'm from Gary, Indiana. I've always loved fashion. In 2011, I interned for Marlo Hampton. She was one of the Real Housewives, and everyone knows she's like the ultimate diva. Her closet is just, it was amazing. And so that kind of triggered a deeper interest in just luxury fashion and luxury items. Not just like, how can I look cute, but how can I look expensive and how can I look polished? I launched CoCoVida early spring 2013. I was actually in my dorm room with one of my roommates. She was actually a fashion merchandising major at SCAD, so we'd always like throw ideas back and forth, and I could draw a little and she could sketch amazing. So she'd help me and we'd practice, and one day I was like, I'm gonna make a swimsuit. So I got on I bought some fabric, like the cheapest fabric I could find. It was like maybe $5 a yard. Grabbed my sewing machine and I made the first swimsuit, and I was like, this actually isn't really half bad. So I had some of my friends come and try it on. We took some pictures at the pool in Midtown, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I just knew this is gonna be something. And so I actually launched it on Facebook, and the reception was crazy. And it was actually kind of like not a joke, but it was for fun at first, but after I saw the response, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can do this, and CoCoVida was born. So my creative process, it varies. Like my mind is always going like 1,000 miles a minute. There are these days where I'm just like on the couch and I just have a swimsuit pop in my head and I just jot it down and I'll sketch it. And there are days when I'll have a sketch that I did maybe the day before, and I'll go back through my sketchbook and just review, and I'm just like, I hate everything. Like I hate everything. And so I'll just make modifications, or I'll switch like different like lines or different like waist straps, or I'll switch different fabrics and materials, or I'll recreate what I've already created until I finally am satisfied with it, which isn't often. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, so I'm never satisfied, but people like it, so I guess it's okay. New ideas for me, it's a scary process because especially when I've had some success with some of my previous pieces, I'm always nervous that the next piece won't be received as well. So I actually have a creative manager. Her name is Renee. I run everything by her, and sometimes she'll love it and it'll just make me feel great about it, or sometimes if she's on the fence, it kind of makes me on the fence. But I'm learning that as a designer, just to trust my instincts more. There are so many designs that I've drawn, that I've passed on, that I'm now seeing other designers kind of launch, and then like people love them. So even though it's a loss, it gives me confidence that, okay, I can trust my creative instincts. As far as pushing it to the public, I kind of learned that that's not always the best idea. For example, I launched last year, I had this, impromptu photo shoot. It was great, so I pushed it on Instagram, and people were like, how can I buy this? And I was like, crap, like, I only have one. So I'm learning that just because I love it and it's amazing, there's so much that goes into having it ready to wear, for purchase. So even though they're my babies and I love them, I'm learning to kind of slow down with releasing them until they're ready. I don't want to release any products that people can't buy because it just makes them lose interest. It makes me look like I'm incompetent. So I'm learning to slow down with pushing them as soon as I make them. In March, I was invited to be in the Urban vs. Couture fashion show. I had this idea for my red bottom collection, and I was gonna have like the red bottoms, I was gonna have like this cute little snakeskin top. Like I was just had my heart set on it. The night before the show, my sewing machine breaks beyond repair. Like we were like sitting at home, like I was in tears, crying. Like, okay, I can't give up now, it's the 9th hour. So I had this idea that I'm just going to buy some flowers and hot glue them to bathing suit tops, and they don't have to be fine, like that'll do for now. So I did it, and coming on the runway, it was the most ingenious idea I've ever had. Like it just looked amazing. It looked so avant-garde, and just made it look so much more expensive, and it's just proof that things happen for a reason, and just to trust yourself, because that was never in the plans, but now that's one of my trademark pieces. It came out of a mistake or an accident, and it's really taken off for me. So It's great. Creative block is definitely real, and it happens, and I've learned that you kind of just have to deal with it. Last year, my first year, I would make myself sketch through it or try to create through it, and I was never as satisfied the next day. So I've learned that sometimes you just kind of have to remove yourself from that situation. If I can't sketch, I'll just go pick fabrics or something else in the creative process that I'm not being blocked on at the moment, and so that can kind of help spark something. Or I'll just browse through like different runway shows from like the 80s or 70s just to draw inspiration, but I'll never make myself try to create through it because I'm never satisfied in the end. There have been so many bumps, and like last year, so I launched the picture on Instagram and people loved them, and of course I was not prepared to like mass produce them or manufacture them because I was just in my room, in my dorm room, and I made one. So there was this demand, and I didn't have a way to fill that demand, so I ran out. I went to the closest factory. There's one off of 285. They're called Farzad and Company. They're great. So I was so excited. I had my swimsuit, like, here's my pattern. I want some swimsuits. What do I have to do now? And they're like, oh, it's $7,000 to make like 300. And I was like, I was just crushed. I was so crushed because I felt like people want something and I put it out there, but now I can't give it to them. So it was hard. That was definitely the biggest bump. And so my next step was, okay, I'm gonna go through boutiques. So I can maybe give them 2 or 3. I don't have to have like 1,000 or 300. And then the next thing was, okay, well, what's your target audience and what's your MSRP, and all these terms that I had no idea what they meant because I was just a creator and I created something, but I wasn't prepared to sell them. So the first year, my bumps were just the knowledge, being experienced, knowing what terms meant, knowing what I needed. And so this year, I've mastered all of those terms and I know kind of the process. Now that I'm in year 2 and I've mastered all those problems from last year, I have a new set of issues. Now it's, well, what's your target audience? Now it's, what's your price point? Now it's, who is the CoCoVida woman? There's so many new issues that it's like I've learned, but there are always bumps. There are bumps, but they just make the ride like that much more fun, If I could talk to me 4 years ago, I would say start your business now, because I'm only in year 2 right now. So 4 years ago, I was not where I am now. Probably in some I wasn't where I am right now. So definitely if I could have started earlier. I was 17 4 years ago. I was fresh out of high school, going into college, and that's another thing. I feel like I didn't know really who I was or what I wanted to do. If I could go back 4 years, I would probably major in fashion merchandising or fashion design or brand management or marketing or something else that can help me kind of master my tool. I would just say, don't have any fears or regrets. You're so young, you have time to, make mistakes for a whole year or a whole 2 years and still be at an advantage. I think that starting a business young is so important because there's not that urgency and everyone expects you to there's not an expectation that there is after you're mid-20s or late 20s. It's kind of like the time is running out. So starting 4 years ago, I think that I probably already have met some of my goals by now. But you live and you learn. The biggest piece of advice I could give for women and young men is just not to be afraid. What I've learned is that nothing is impossible, and that's so cliche, but it's so true. Anything that you want to do, there is a path, and all it takes is for you to make a plan, write it down, and follow it. It's literally that simple. If you want to make it happen, you can make it happen. Just make a plan. Find someone who does what you want to do and just follow, see what their path was and see how you can take shortcuts and make it better. Of course, there are some things that there are no shortcuts for, like hard work and determination and just time management, but it can happen. It's not that far out of your reach. There are so many people who want to help young people follow their dreams that it's totally, don't be afraid. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You totally can do it.